Hey there, it's Andrea with A.D.S. here to bring you the very best in marketing and branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and personal branders. Welcome and thanks so much for being here. I have some really cool stuff to talk to you about today, which is what are the lessons that small groups, and when I say groups, I mean Facebook groups, that small groups can take from the big groups. So recently I was inspired by a big group that I am now in, and by big, I mean 65,000 people. Daily, they might have 1,500 active viewers. So, if you think about the percentages, it kind of all works out. I didn't do that quick math in my head, but is it roughly somewhere between 1% to 3% participation? Yes, it's pretty much what you can expect from a group like that. And so when you think about your own group, your own Facebook group, and ways that you can engage them better, I'm going to give you 7 tips I'm taking away from this big group that I'm a part of. And maybe it'll give you some ideas for your own small group. All right? So let's go. I'm so excited to talk to you today about this idea of what we can take away from big Facebook groups. So if you've got a small Facebook group, and by small, I mean 100 or so people or even less, definitely less than 1,000. Here are some of the big tips you can take away from the huge group. So recently I just joined a big group on Facebook. It's maybe like 65,000 people. And if you think about the typical engagement rate of somewhere between 1% to 3% of engagement, that's pretty much what that group has on a regular basis. Any live video that happens in that group, you'll see 1,500 people automatically on it. Any post that gets put out there, especially by the admins and the top people in the group, 1,500 people are automatically on it. So it has a lot of power and a lot of activity. It takes a whole lot to run that group. And so right now I'm going to share with you 7 tips I think you might be able to use in your small group based on what I'm experiencing now in this really, really big group. First tip is user postings. So I've been guilty of this myself, and let me know in the comments where you can. Either if you're listening to this on YouTube, you can put it in the comment section below, or if you're listening to this on podcast, go over to our A.D.S Instagram and leave us a message about what you've learned here. But I typically, in my groups, I have banned not banned people, but I've blocked people from posting automatically. The posts have to be approved. And that's because honestly, I'm not in there every day as I should be, for a group. I'm not personally in there every day. I don't have people helping me with my Facebook groups yet. So I have it set to approve posts prior to them going live. Lots of groups are like that. Bigger groups are like that. But what I like about this group that I was telling you about, this bigger group, and what they're doing, they are allowing their own users to post freely. And I think they can do that because they have so many admins in that group. There's so many. There's got to be like nearly 20 admins who are in there, constantly in there. And so if anything were to ever pop up that was inappropriate, it could be taken down immediately, easily. And also the culture is there and established. So if anyone were stepping sideways in their post, several people would be all over them to correct them, right? So I think this is why this kind of group can do this, because of the culture it's developed and because of how many admins they have at their disposal to help police the crowd, so to speak. So I think this works well. You might be able to incorporate this in your small group by allowing people to openly post. Certainly I've thought about it for my small groups before. I just know I would hate to take down someone's post, because they obviously didn't read the rules and that kind of thing. So rather than deal with that, I just have decided I'll approve the post before they go out. But there's something to be said about allowing people's posts to immediately appear in the group, and people can react with each other in real time. So I thought that was really good. And they encourage their people to post daily in the group, their progress, what's happening, as a form of accountability. So I really like that. I thought that was good. So how highly active could that make your group if you encouraged your users to post daily for accountability purposes? Could potentially work. If not daily, maybe weekly. But I love the daily part. I think it really encourages people to make this a part of their life. But that's a whole different strategy for a lot of people. Not everyone's trying to become a part of someone's lifestyle. But if you are trying to become so ingrained in someone's life, that could be a great way to go. So point number 1, I love that. User-generated content daily for accountability purposes. Number 2 is lots of admins. So in your small group, again, I was telling you this big group has lots and lots of admins. It helps so much with policing and that kind of thing. In your small group, you might just start with getting 1 extra admin. For example, that's probably going to be my next step for my small group of 100-ish people. Getting 1 admin who can help you police the group, right? So, and I say police, there's more than just policing, but encouraging the culture, all those good things. So having another admin who can help take responsibility in the group would be awesome. So that's another idea for you. You don't have to have tons and tons of admins, but could you have 1 other admin whom you trust with your brand, right, to help moderate the group? I think that's a great idea. Third point is culture. So in this particular group, they have lots of fun. They do different colors for different days. So when you're posting, if you're taking a selfie or whatever, people are wearing certain colors for certain days. There's black on Monday, there's pink on Wednesday, that kind of thing. So they have a lot of fun with colors. And in general, they also have certain hashtags they use for different things. And it becomes a part of the language that everyone uses. Again, this is a highly active group, so people are in there on a regular basis every day checking this stuff for those users who are actually highly involved. Of course, there's a large number of users who are just dormant, not active, and that's typical for most groups. But for the active portion, it's amazing. So the culture piece, really considering how can you infuse culture using things like hashtag, like wearing colors for different selfie days. You could probably get creative about how you want to infuse your own version of culture in your group. But I really like how this group did that, and so I thought it was awesome. 4th tip is to encourage people to get to know each other. So a sense of community, I think, is really good. So really considering different ways that people can get to know each other. People are in the group. How can you help them get to know each other? One good way is contests, which we'll talk about in just a minute. You can run contests, you can have competitions, you can do challenges like we do in our group. It's a great way for people to get to know each other. If they are being supportive of each other, if the challenge itself helps people support each other, that's a good way for people to start to get to know other people in the group. And that's very important too for developing this sense of community and culture. So think of different ways, different post ideas to get people to know each other. For example, you could have a post that says, tell us about your why you're in this group, and what you hope to get out of it, and the real reason behind why you want to do what you want to do here. And if you help people think of a really solid reason, not just a superficial, easy reason, but really a core reason tied to something they really feel strongly about, like family, like life, like how people want to live at the end of the day. If you can tie it to something important like that, then you can help people connect and say, find other people in the group who have similar whys, and they can become your new good friends because you have something in common. So I thought that was a great way. Help people get to know each other in your group. Another idea is to go live every day, or often. If you're not going live every day, maybe it's every week, or maybe it's once a month, but whatever it is, going live consistently at a time and place where people know they can find you. So for example, in this big group that I'm drawing inspiration from, they go live, the main owner goes live at 8 p.m. every evening, and it's only for 15 minutes. So he goes live, it's 15 minutes, you know it's going to be short and quick, you can get on with your evening, but you're still going to get a good message out of it, something motivational, something helpful along your journey, because everyone in there is in a journey of some sort. And so I think that's great. Go live as often as you can. Another idea is to run a contest, have prizes, have a really cool prize. So in this really big group, and I'll just tell you, if you've gotten this far, you deserve to know who this group is. So it's a group called E2M, the number 2, which stands for Eager to Motivate. It's a fitness group that my sister got me. My sister got me to be a part of. And it's fitness and a diet of sorts, although my sister would slap my hand for saying diet, but she would say lifestyle. But it's a fitness group to help people lose weight and all that good stuff. I'm in there to tone up. I got some fluff I can lose and all that. And so anyway, that's the group. And right now they have a prize going where if you create a little small team of people, and it has to be exactly 10 people, and 6 of those people, at least 6, have to be newbies to the group. So it's involving the newbies, mixing them in with some OGs, as they call them, some of the older people, seasoned people in the group. And it's making people form these groups in order to see who has the best transformation by the end of the program. So it's an 8-week program. And the prize that they came up with is every team member gets $1,000. Then they get to fly to Charlotte, where the home team is, so to speak, that runs the group. They get to fly to Charlotte. They get to work out with the people that they see only virtually every day on workouts. And then they get to have dinner together, and everybody gets $1,000. Kind of a nice prize. So how could you, maybe it's not that big of a prize, but how could you incorporate a contest, a challenge with a fun prize involved that helps people get in teams potentially? How could you do that? That's a cool way to foster a sense of community, because if you can get teams rallying towards a cause or getting to know each other, now you're creating culture, community. A prize, a contest is a great way to do that. And finally, my last tip that I got from this awesome group is using the guides to orient people quickly. So if you have people coming into the group, you can let people know immediately that they should go to the guide section at the top of the Facebook group, and this is where they can get started, and it's going to have all the information they need to know. Videos, imagery, little images that have all of the rules and guidelines in it, tips, all that kind of good stuff. So people on their own can get immediately started. Of course, if everyone starts at the same time, you can also orient them as well. So in this particular group, they go in 8-week segments strictly. So you have to sign up at the start of an 8-week segment. If you miss it, you have to wait 8 weeks to get in again. So every 8 weeks, they have a new crop of people. Ironically, it's like 13,000 people on this round alone that are new, and I'm one of them. Isn't that crazy? That is crazy. We'll talk about the economics of that later. But 13,000 people in this group new every 8 weeks. Crazy. So every 8 weeks they have this thing going on, and it's just a cool way to orient people quickly, because there's a lot of people in a group, and not everyone has a sister like I do in the group to help orient them faster, and I was late getting in there, so we'll talk about that later too. But the point is, if you're late getting in there or something happens and you don't have the benefit of being in there in the beginning with everyone else, you can tell people go to the guide section, start there, and it will lead them through everything they need to know. So make use of the guides. There you have it. Those are my quick tips from big groups that small groups on Facebook can use immediately. What ideas do you have? I would love to hear them. Do you have a Facebook group? Let me know in the comments below. And if so, how big is it now? Is it small, less than 100 people? Is it it getting big, like thousands of people? Or is it a huge, humongous group with tens of thousands of people or more? Let us know in the comments below. Would love to know your tips, ideas on how big groups can inspire the small groups on Facebook. And otherwise, thanks so much for being here. Again, I'm Andrea with A.D.S. As always, here to bring you the very best of marketing branding tips, as well as business tips for those of you who are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and personal branders. Thanks for joining us today. If this is your first time here, please be sure to subscribe. If you're listening to this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, and also hit the little notifications bell that pops up That way you don't miss these videos when they come out. And if you're listening to this on podcasts, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, please rate, and review this podcast. It would be so helpful. I very much appreciate it. And I love reading your comments. I love reading them. So thanks so much for those of you who have taken the time to do that. All right. And finally, be sure to follow us on social media. That's the A.D.S Agency. It's THEADS, like ads, like advertising agency, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, also over on TikTok. And wherever else you are. So find us, message us, say hi, let us know that you stopped by. Would love to say hello to you. And otherwise, we'll see you soon, cuties. Have a good one.